quarantine bay smelled like disinfectant and fear. Danny Wright pushed his cargo dolly through the automatic doors, 3 boxes of medical supplies stacked neatly on top. He had made this delivery run 100 times before. Today would be different. Through the reinforced glass wall, he could see doctors and nurses gathered around something. Their faces looked worried. Some were arguing. Danny set down his dolly and walked closer, curious about what could make the normally calm medical staff so upset. Inside the containment cell was a creature unlike anything Danny had seen in his 2 years working on Terminus Station. It was huge, maybe the size of an earth tiger, but with 6 legs instead of 4. Scales covered its body in patterns of deep blue and silver. The creature thrashed against the walls, making sounds that were part growl and part something else. Something that sounded almost like crying. "Sign here, please." A nurse handed Danny a data pad without looking at him. Her eyes stayed on the creature. Danny signed quickly. "What is that thing?" "A Ravix," the nurse said. Her voice was tight. "From Virgos, one of the worst death worlds in the galaxy. That thing could tear through steel if it wanted to." "What happened to it?" "Radiation poisoning. Broken bones. Internal bleeding. It was hiding in a cargo ship that had a reactor leak. The crew found it 3 days ago." The nurse shook her head. "Poor thing is dying and we cannot do anything about it." Danny watched the creature more carefully now. It was not just thrashing randomly. Every time someone moved near the glass, the Ravix would lunge toward them, then pull back like it was in pain. Its movements were getting weaker. "Why cannot you treat it?" Danny asked. "Because it will kill anyone who gets close," a new voice said. Danny turned to see a tall alien with 8 arms and smooth purple skin. The name tag read Dr. Hilvan, Medical Director. "Ravix are apex predators. When they are hurt or scared, they attack. We tried sedatives. Nothing works on their biology. We tried remote treatment. It damages the equipment. We are out of options. So what happens now?" Dr. Hilvan looked sad. "Commander Ulith has ordered euthanasia. It is the mercy option. The creature is in pain and we cannot help it. Better a quick death than days of suffering." Danny turned back to the window. The Ravix had stopped thrashing. It lay in the corner of the cell, sides heaving with each breath. Its eyes were open, watching the medical staff with what Danny recognized immediately. He had seen that look before years ago back on Earth. Fear. Pure, simple fear. "It is scared," Danny said quietly. "Of course it is scared," Dr. Hilvan replied. "It is dying in a strange place, surrounded by creatures it does not know. But that does not change the situation. We cannot treat a patient that will kill us for trying. How long until the euthanasia?" 20 minutes. "We are preparing the gas now. It will be painless." Danny made a decision that surprised even himself. "Let me try." Dr. Hilvan's eyes widened. All 8 of his arms moved, and what Danny had learned was confusion. "Excuse me?" "Let me go in there. Give me 5 minutes with it before you do anything." "That is insane. You would die." "Maybe," Danny said, "but maybe not. I used to work with animals back on Earth, aggressive ones, scared ones. I know that look in its eyes. That is not a monster. That is just a terrified animal." "Ravix are not animals," Dr. Hilvan said firmly. "They are intelligent. They have language, culture, technology. They are people just like us." "Then they can feel fear just like us too," Danny replied. "And fear makes every intelligent being act the same way. Fight or flight. Right now that Ravix cannot fly, so it is fighting. But what if it did not have to do either?" A new alien approached. This one looked like a giant insect with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. "Commander Ulith, I heard your request, human. The answer is no. I will not allow station personnel to commit suicide in my quarantine bay." "I am not asking to commit suicide," Danny said calmly. "I am asking for a chance to help. That creature is already dying. If I fail, you go ahead with your plan. If I succeed, you get to save a life. What do you have to lose?" Commander Ulith and Dr. Hilvan looked at each other. Some kind of silent conversation happened between them. Finally, the doctor spoke. 3 minutes, not 5. And we keep the euthanasia system ready. The moment it attacks you, we activate the gas." "Fair enough," Danny said. He started removing the safety equipment he wore for cargo handling. Just his normal work coveralls would do. "Wait," Dr. Hilvan said. "You need protective armor, weapons, something." "No," Danny said. "If I go in there looking like a threat, I become a threat. I go in as I am, or I do not go in at all." The medical staff thought he was crazy. Danny could see it in their faces. But they opened the containment cell door anyway. Maybe they were curious. Maybe they just wanted to see if humans really were as reckless as the story said. Danny stepped inside. The door sealed behind him with a hiss. The Ravix raised its head. Its eyes locked onto Danny. A low rumble came from deep in its chest. Warning. Threat. Stay back. Danny did not stay back, but he did not rush forward either. He moved slowly to the side, not making direct eye contact, keeping his body low and relaxed. He had done this dance before. With dogs that had been beaten, with cats that had been abandoned, with horses that had been abused. Trust started with showing you were not a threat. Easy, Danny said softly. His voice was calm, steady, like he was discussing the weather. I know you are scared. I know everything hurts. I know you want everyone to go away and leave you alone. The Ravix tensed. Its muscles bunched like it was preparing to spring. Outside the cell, Danny heard someone gasp. Danny sat down on the floor. Right there, within lunging distance of a creature that could tear him apart. He crossed his legs and rested his hands on his knees. Non-threatening. Patient. Calm. I had a dog once. Danny continued talking, his voice never changing tone. His name was Rusty. Somebody hurt him real bad before I got him. First time I tried to pet him, he bit me. Drew blood. Everyone said I should get rid of him. Said he was too dangerous, too damaged. The Ravix was listening. Danny could tell. Its eyes never left him, but the rumbling had stopped. But I knew something they did not know. Rusty was not mean. He was scared. And scared creatures just need one thing. They need to know they are safe. That nobody is going to hurt them anymore. Danny slowly extended his right hand, not toward the Ravix, just out, palm down, resting on his knee, offering presence, not demanding anything. It took 3 months before Rusty let me touch him, Danny said. 3 months of me just sitting near him, talking to him, showing him every single day that I was not going to hurt him. And you know what happened after those 3 months? The Ravix tilted its head slightly. A gesture of curiosity. He became the best friend I ever had. Loyal, loving, protective. All that anger and fear went away once he understood he was safe. Once he understood that not every creature was going to hurt him. Outside, Danny heard Dr. Hilvin say something about time running out. Commander Ulith responded that they would give it 1 more minute. Danny kept his eyes soft, his posture relaxed. I know you are not a dog. I know you are intelligent, that you understand me maybe better than Rusty ever did. So I am asking you, as one intelligent being to another, let us help you. Let us fix what is broken. I promise you I will not let anyone hurt you. You are safe now. Silence filled the cell. Long, stretching seconds where nothing happened. Then the Ravix moved. It pulled itself forward, dragging its injured body across the floor, inch by inch, closer to Danny. The human did not move, did not flinch, did not run. He just waited. The Ravix stopped when its head was less than a foot from Danny's extended hand. This close, Danny could see the intelligence in those eyes. Could see the pain, yes, but also the decision being made. Trust or do not trust. Live or die. Choose. The creature lowered its massive head until it touched Danny's palm. Contact. Outside the cell, someone dropped something. The sound of clattering metal was loud in the sudden silence of the medical bay. Danny moved his thumb gently, just a small stroke against the scaled skin. Easy, buddy, he whispered. We are going to help you. I promise. The Ravix closed its eyes and made a sound Danny had not heard before. Something soft. Something that might have been relief. Behind the glass, Dr. Hilvin stood with all 8 arms hanging limp in shock. Commander Uleth had stopped mid-motion, frozen. The entire medical staff stared. A human cargo handler had just done the impossible. He had gained the trust of a dying Ravix with nothing but patience and words. And in that moment, everything changed. Dr. Hilvin moved first. His 8 arms activated control panels with practiced efficiency. Open the medical equipment port. Carefully. Danny heard the words through the cell's speaker system. He did not move his hand from where it rested against the Ravix's head. The creature had not attacked, had not even growled. It just breathed slowly, eyes still closed, like this small moment of gentle contact was the first peace it had known in days. What are you planning? Commander Uleth's voice was sharp with concern. If the human can keep it calm, we can treat it, Dr. Hilvin replied. He was already pulling equipment toward the cell. We need to move quickly before it changes its mind. A small panel in the cell wall slid open. A medical scanner emerged on a robotic arm, moving slowly toward the Ravix. The creature's eyes snapped open. Its body tensed. "Hey," Danny said softly. "It is okay. Look at me, buddy, right here." The Ravix turned its gaze to Danny. He could feel the fear building again, could see the muscles preparing to fight. "I know," Danny continued in that same calm tone. "Something strange is happening. Something you do not understand, but I am still here. I am not leaving, and nothing is going to hurt you." The scanner touched the Ravix's side. The creature flinched but did not pull away. Danny kept his hand steady on its head, maintaining that one point of contact that meant safety. "Good," Danny whispered. "You are doing so good." Dr. Hilvin studied the scanner readings. "Worse than we thought. Radiation damage throughout the body. 3 legs broken. Internal organs are failing. We need to start treatment immediately." "Can you do it while I am in here?" Danny asked. "That is insane," Commander Uleth said. "The treatment requires injections, surgery, radiation purging. All of it will cause pain. The moment it feels pain, it will attack." "Then I guess I better keep it calm," Danny said simply. Dr. Hilvin made a decision. "Open the full medical access, prepare the treatment bay for integration with the containment cell, and get me a communication headset for the human." 5 minutes later, Danny wore a small earpiece. He could hear everything the medical team said, and they could hear him. More importantly, he could guide them. "Starting with basic pain management," Dr. Hilvin said. "Injection to the left shoulder. It will sting." A robotic arm extended a needle. The Ravix saw it coming and started to rise, that warning rumble building in its chest again. "Easy, buddy," Danny said quickly. He moved his other hand to the creature's side, both palms now making contact. "Remember Rusty? That dog I told you about? He hated needles too. Had to get shots at the vet. He would shake and whine, but you know what helped? The needle pressed against scaled skin." The Ravix tensed. "I would hold him close and tell him about all the good things waiting after. Like treats, like going to the park, like running free without pain." Danny kept his voice steady even as the needle pushed in. "And you got good things waiting too. No more hurting. No more fear. Just healing. Just getting strong again." The injection finished. The Ravix had not moved. Its eyes stayed locked on Danny's face, like his voice was a lifeline in stormy water. "Incredible," Dr. Hilvin breathed. "Prepare the next sequence. We need to set those broken legs." The treatment took 6 hours. 6 hours where Danny never stopped talking. He told the Ravix about Earth, about the animals he had known, about the stars he had seen since leaving his home world. When he ran out of stories, he made up new ones. Anything to keep that connection alive. The medical bay filled with observers. Word had spread through the station. Aliens from a dozen different species gathered at the windows, watching a human do something no one had thought possible. "Setting the third leg," Dr. Hilvan announced. "This will hurt." The robotic arms moved into position. They had to pull the broken bone back into alignment. Danny felt the Ravix's entire body go rigid under his hands. "I got you," Danny said firmly. "Stay with me. Breathe. In and out. Nice and slow." The bone clicked into place. The Ravix made a sound of pure agony. Its mouth opened, revealing teeth that could easily bite through Danny's arm. But it did not bite. It turned its head and pressed against Danny's chest instead, seeking comfort. Danny wrapped his arms around the massive head, holding it close. I know it hurts, but it is almost over. Just a little bit more, and then you can rest." A young Threxian in medical training stood next to Commander Uleth. "I do not understand. Why does the Ravix trust him? They just met. He has no chemical bonds with it, no pack connection." Another student, this one from a water world, answered quietly. "Humans evolved on a world with many predators. They learned to understand fear and anger in creatures. They call it empathy. But Ravix are not predators to humans. They are from different worlds, different biologies. Maybe that does not matter, the water worlder said. Maybe intelligence feels the same across all species, and humans learned how to speak to that feeling. Inside the cell, Dr. Hilvan worked with newfound confidence. Each time the Ravik showed signs of panic, Danny talked it through. Each time a procedure caused pain, Danny acknowledged it honestly and reminded the creature why it mattered. Radiation purging next, the doctor said. This is the dangerous part. We have to flood its system with a counteragent. It will feel like fire in its veins. How long? Danny asked. 40 seconds. Can you warn me before you start? Yes, beginning in 3, 2, 1, now. The counteragent pumped through the Ravik's bloodstream. The creature's entire body convulsed. Its claws extended, gouging marks in the floor, its tail thrashed. But through it all, Danny held on. Breathe, Danny said loudly, his voice cutting through the pain. Buddy, stay with me. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Raviks focused on his voice, on those numbers. Something simple to hold on to while everything hurt. 5, 6, 7, 8. You are almost there. Keep breathing. 20 seconds left, Dr. Hilvan said. 9, 10, 11, 12. Halfway done. You are so strong. The observers at the windows pressed closer. Some had never seen a creature endure such pain without fighting. The fact that it was doing so because a human asked it to made no sense to them. 13, 14, 15, 16. 10 seconds, Dr. Hilvan announced. 17, 18, 19, 20. Almost there, buddy. Stay with me. The counteragent finished its cycle. The Raviks went limp, gasping for air. Danny did not let go. He kept his arms around the creature's head, kept his presence constant. You did it, Danny said softly. You made it through. The worst is over now. Dr. Hilvan stepped back from his controls. That should have killed it. The pain alone should have caused the heart to stop. But it stayed conscious the entire time. Because it wanted to, Commander Uleth said slowly. It chose to endure because the human asked it to. That is not animal behavior. That is trust. The treatment continued for 2 more hours, stabilizing organs, repairing tissue, ensuring the radiation was truly gone. Through it all, Danny stayed by the Raviks' side. His legs went numb from sitting in one position. His throat grew hoarse from talking, but he never stopped. Finally, Dr. Hilvan spoke the words everyone had been waiting for. Treatment is complete. The Raviks will survive. Full recovery projected in 5 to 7 days. Cheers erupted in the medical bay. Aliens from different worlds celebrated together. They had witnessed something unprecedented, but in the cell Danny barely heard them. He was too focused on the creature in front of him. The Raviks looked better already. Its breathing was easier. Its eyes were clearer. It gazed at Danny with something that looked almost like gratitude. You are going to be okay, Danny whispered. I told you. Nothing was going to hurt you. Commander Uleth's voice came through the earpiece. Mr. Wright, you have a cargo shift starting in 2 hours. I assume you will want to go rest and prepare for your duties. Danny looked at Buddy. Then he looked at the cell door, then back at Buddy. Actually, Commander, I'm going to need to request personal leave. I need to stay with Buddy until it is stable. That could be days. I know. The Raviks does not need you anymore. We can monitor it from here. Danny gently stroked the scaled head one more time. Buddy leaned into the touch, making that soft sound again. With respect, Commander, I think it does need me. And I need to see this through. Silence on the communication line. Then Commander Uleth sighed. Request approved. Dr. Hilvan set up a cot in the observation area. It seems our cargo supervisor is now our xenobiological consultant. Understood, Dr. Hilvan said. Then, quietly, just for Danny to hear, he added, Thank you, Mr. Wright. You showed me something today. Medicine is not just about treating bodies, it is about understanding the person inside that body. Danny smiled tiredly. My mom was a nurse. She used to say the same thing. As medical staff brought in a cot and supplies, Danny finally allowed himself to relax slightly. Buddy was going to live. That was what mattered. He had not been sure it would work, had not been certain his instincts were right. But they were. Humans knew how to talk to fear. They knew how to build trust. And sometimes that was more powerful than any medicine. 3 days passed. Danny kept his promise and stayed by Buddy's side, leaving only for bathroom breaks and quick showers. The cot in the observation area became his home. The medical bay staff brought him food. Some brought questions too. Buddy healed fast. The radiation damage reversed. The broken legs knit together with the help of advanced medicine. By the 3rd day, the Ravix could stand again, could walk slowly around the cell. Strength returned to its body. But something else changed too. Something the medical staff found more interesting than the physical healing. Buddy had become possessive of Danny. "Watch this," Dr. Hilvan said to a group of medical students. He approached the cell with a food container. Buddy immediately moved between the doctor and Danny, a low warning rumble vibrating through the air. "Buddy, no," Danny said from his cot. "Dr. Hilvan is a friend." The Ravix looked back at Danny, then at the doctor, then back at Danny. Slowly it moved aside, but its eyes never left Dr. Hilvan. "This is unprecedented," one of the students said. "Ravix are solitary creatures. They do not protect others. They do not form bonds." "They do now," Dr. Hilvan said thoughtfully. "At least this one does." The discovery worried Commander Ulith. She called a meeting in her office with Danny and Dr. Hilvan attending. "The Ravix is recovering faster than expected," the commander said, "which means we need to discuss what happens next. It cannot stay in the medical bay forever, and it certainly cannot stay on this station long term." "Why not?" Danny asked. "Because it is a wild animal from a death world. Because when it reaches full strength, it could kill dozens of people if it chose to. Because keeping it here is a liability." "It is not a wild animal," Danny said firmly. "Buddy is intelligent. It understands language. It makes choices." "Yes, choices like deciding you belong to it," Commander Ulith replied. "What happens when you need to leave? What happens when Buddy decides to follow you into populated areas? We cannot have a Ravix wandering through station corridors." Dr. Hilvan cleared his throat. "There is another complication. I received a transmission this morning. A delegation from the Virgos system is en route. They arrive in 4 hours." "Delegation?" Danny asked. "Buddy is not just any Ravix," the doctor explained. "After it was stable, I ran genetic markers. Buddy is the offspring of a territorial leader. Juveniles of that bloodline are rare and valuable to Ravix culture. They want their lost child back." Danny felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What does that mean?" "It means they will take Buddy home," Commander Ulith said. "Which solves our problem neatly. Does Buddy get a say in this?" "Ravix are not pets, Mr. Wright. They belong in their natural habitat with their own kind. You saved its life. That is admirable. But you cannot keep it," Danny wanted to argue. Wanted to say that Buddy had chosen to trust him, had chosen to stay calm during treatment, had chosen to form this bond. But he also knew Commander Ulith was right. He was not equipped to care for a Ravix. The station was not built for it. And Buddy deserved more than a cage, no matter how comfortable. "Fine," Danny said quietly. "But I want to be there when they arrive. I want to explain to them what Buddy has been through." "Agreed," Commander Ulith said. 4 hours later, Danny stood in docking bay 3. Dr. Hilvan stood beside him. Commander Ulith monitored from a safe distance. The Virgos transport ship had just docked. The airlock opened. 3 Ravix emerged, wearing special environmental suits that allowed them to breathe the station's atmosphere. They were larger than Buddy, fully grown adults. Their scales were darker, their movements precise and controlled. The lead Ravix approached. Its suit had a translation device built in. "I am Terran, scout leader of the Western Territories. We have come to reclaim our lost juvenile. I am Danny Wright. I have been caring for Buddy since it arrived." "Buddy?" Terran tilted its head. The gesture looked strange on such a large predator. "You named it?" "It needed a name. Ravix do not use individual names until they claim territory. This juvenile is too young for naming." "Well, here it has a name," Danny said, "and it is recovering well from its injuries." Terran moved closer to Danny, studying him. "You are the human that touched it." "We received the medical reports. They said you entered the containment cell without weapons or armor. They said the juvenile did not attack you." "That is right." "Impossible. Juveniles are more aggressive than adults. Fear makes them violent. No being can approach a frightened juvenile without being killed. I approached it, Danny said simply. Torren looked at Dr. Hilvin. Is there some chemical explanation? Did you drug the juvenile? Use pheromones? Technology? No, Dr. Hilvin said. The human used only his voice and patience. We have documented everything. The juvenile chose to trust him. Chose? Torren's voice held disbelief. Raviks do not choose trust. We are born to be alone, to hold territory, to defend against all others. This is our nature. Maybe nature can change, Danny said. Or maybe intelligence means having more options than just instinct. One of the other Raviks with Torren spoke quickly in their own language. Torren responded, then turned back to Danny. We wish to see the juvenile now. They walked to the medical bay together. Buddy was awake, eating synthetic meat from a dispenser. The moment the doors opened and Buddy saw the adult Raviks, everything changed. Buddy went still. Then it made a sound Danny had never heard before, a high-pitched call that echoed through the bay. Recognition. The 3 adult Raviks responded with similar calls. That is family greeting, Torren said softly. The juvenile remembers us. Buddy limped toward the cell wall closest to them. Its legs were still healing, still weak, but it pushed forward anyway, trying to get closer to its own kind. Danny felt a strange pain in his chest. Of course, Buddy wanted to be with other Raviks. That made sense. That was natural. He had been foolish to think the bond they formed meant anything more than temporary necessity. But then Buddy stopped, turned, looked at Danny. The Raviks made a different, sound lower questioning. It looked at Danny, then at Torren, then back at Danny. What is it doing? Torren asked. I think it is confused, Dr. Hilvin said. It recognizes you as family, but it has bonded with Danny. It does not know which way to go. That is not possible, Torren said flatly. Raviks do not bond with other species. We barely bond with our own. Watch, Dr. Hilvin said. He opened the cell door. Buddy walked out slowly. The first time it had been free to move beyond the cell in days. It approached the adult Raviks first, drawn by instinct and genetics. Torren reached out one clawed hand carefully. Buddy touched it briefly. Family recognition. Acknowledgement. But then the juvenile pulled back and walked toward Danny instead. It stopped right in front of the human and lowered its head, pressing against Danny's chest. The same gesture it had done dozens of times over the past 3 days. Seeking comfort. Offering trust. Danny put his hand on Buddy's head automatically. Hey there, Buddy. You okay? Buddy made that soft sound again. Contentment. Torren stood frozen. The other 2 Raviks with him had gone completely still. This should not be possible, Torren said again, but his voice had changed. Less certain. More curious. I think the word you are looking for is should not is not, Danny said. Because it clearly is possible. Buddy chose this. Chose to trust. Chose to form a bond. How? Torren asked. The question sounded genuine now, not challenging. Danny thought about it. About all the hours spent talking to Buddy. About the patience required. About the moment when fear became trust. I treated it with respect, he finally said. I acknowledged its fear instead of ignoring it. I showed it that not every creature was a threat, and I let it decide if it wanted to trust me or not. I did not force anything. You offered choice, Torren said slowly. Yes. And the juvenile chose you over its own kind. No, Danny said. Look at how Buddy reacted to you. It was happy to see you. It recognized family, but it also recognized me. Buddy is not choosing one or the other. It is choosing both. It is saying that bonds can exist across species if both sides are willing. Torren moved closer. He studied Danny carefully, then looked at Buddy. On Vergas we have a saying. The strongest Raviks is the one who needs no one. Solitude is strength. On Earth we have a different saying, Danny replied. Strength is not about being alone. It is about knowing when to trust others, and having people trust you in return. 2 very different philosophies, Torren observed. Yes, but maybe both can be true. Maybe Buddy is creating a new philosophy, one where Raviks do not have to be alone if they do not want to be. The medical bay was silent. Everyone present understood they were witnessing something important. A moment where cultures collided and created something new. Torren finally spoke. The juvenile cannot return to Vergos if it has bonded with you. It would be considered broken, damaged. It would be rejected by other Raviks. Danny felt his heart sink. So what happens? We have a proposal. Torrin said. But it requires something unprecedented. A choice must be made, and it must be made by the juvenile itself, not by us. He paused. We want to conduct a test. Tomorrow we will take Buddy to neutral ground. You will stand on one side. I will stand on the other. Buddy will be released between us. Whichever way it goes, that will be its future. If it comes to me, we take it home. If it comes to you, then you must take responsibility for its life. And if I cannot care for it properly? Danny asked. Then you should not stand on that field tomorrow, Torrin said bluntly. This is not a game. This is a life. A Ravik's life that could span 200 years. If you offer yourself as its chosen companion, you accept all that comes with that. Danny looked down at Buddy. The Raviks looked back with intelligent eyes. Eyes that had seen pain and fear and had chosen to trust anyway. Tomorrow then, Danny said. Let Buddy choose. The neutral zone was a barren moon orbiting between human and Vergas territory. No atmosphere, no life, just gray rock and distant stars. They had set up a temporary environmental dome for the test. Inside, air pumps hummed and lights glowed bright. Danny stood on one end of the open space. His hands shook slightly, but he kept them at his sides. Across from him, maybe 50 meters away, Torrin stood waiting. The adult Raviks looked massive and powerful, everything a member of his species should be. Between them was empty ground. And in the center, held by a magnetic restraint field, was Buddy. The rules are simple, Commander Eulith announced through speakers. She watched from the observation shuttle above, along with Dr. Hilvin and dozens of others who had heard about this unprecedented event. When we deactivate the field, Buddy will be free to move. Neither Mr. Wright nor Scout Leader Torrin may move toward Buddy. Buddy must make the choice alone. Danny glanced at the crowd gathered in the shuttle. Word had spread fast across the station and beyond. Aliens from 20 different species had come to witness this moment. Some placed bets on the outcome. Others just wanted to see if a Raviks could truly choose companionship over solitude. There was even a human diplomat present, a woman named Grace Okafor who had traveled from the nearest human colony. She had pulled Danny aside before they left the station. Do you understand what you are doing? She had asked. If Buddy chooses you, this will change everything. It will prove that humans can form bonds with species others think are impossible, but it also means you are responsible for Buddy's life. Forever. I know, Danny had said. And you are willing to accept that? Buddy did not give up on me during treatment. I am not giving up on Buddy now. Grace had smiled at that. You are either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both. Now, standing in the dome with the moment finally here, Danny wondered if she was right. What was he doing? He was a cargo handler. He had no training for this. No equipment. No plan beyond doing his best. But then he remembered Buddy's eyes during those first moments in the cell. Remembered the fear. Remembered the decision to trust. If Buddy could be brave enough to trust, Danny could be brave enough to stand here. Deactivating restraint field in 3, 2, 1, Commander Eulith said. Now the field vanished. Buddy stood free for the first time since arriving on the moon. The Raviks looked left toward Torrin, then right toward Danny, its head tilted, processing the situation, understanding the choice being offered. Torrin began making sounds in the Raviks language. Danny could not understand the words, but he understood the tone. Calling. Welcoming. Come home. Danny did not make sounds. He just stood there, hand extended slightly, palm down. The same gesture from their first meeting. Offering. Not demanding. Buddy took a step toward Torrin. Danny's heart clenched, but he stayed still. This had to be Buddy's choice. If the Raviks wanted to be with its own kind, that was okay. That was natural. Danny would be sad, but he would understand. The juvenile moved closer to Torrin, within 10 meters now. The adult Raviks lowered himself to the ground, making himself less threatening. Another call in their language. Almost there. Just a little closer. Buddy stopped. Turned its head back toward Danny. The human had not moved. Had not called out. Had not tried to convince or plead. He just stood there, patient and calm, exactly like he had been in the cell. The Raviks made a soft sound. Then louder. Then it turned around completely and started walking toward Danny instead. Torrin called out again, urgency in his voice now. But Buddy did not stop, did not look back. The juvenile picked up speed, moving faster, then running despite legs that were still healing. Buddy crashed into Danny with enough force to knock him back a step. The Ravix pressed its head against Danny's chest, making that contentment sound over and over. Danny wrapped his arms around the massive head and held tight. "I got you, buddy," he whispered. "I got you." In the observation shuttle, silence. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire shuttle erupted in noise. Cheers, clicks, whistles. Every species making their sound of celebration. Grace Okafor spoke into her recorder. Historic moment. A Ravix juvenile has chosen cross-species bonding over returning to its homeworld. This will change interspecies relations across the galaxy. Terran walked across the dome slowly. He stopped a few meters from Danny and Buddy. For a long moment he just stared. Then he spoke. "I do not understand this. I have lived for 90 years. I have seen battle, territory wars, the rise and fall of leaders. But I have never seen a Ravix choose another species over their own. Maybe it is not about species," Danny said. "Maybe it is about who shows up when you are scared, who stays when you are hurting, who you can trust. We would have cared for it on Virgos. It would have had territory, food, safety. I know. And Buddy knows that too, I think. But Buddy also knows I sat with it when it was dying. I held it through pain. I promised it would be safe, and I kept that promise. That kind of memory does not go away just because time passes." Terran was quiet. "Then, you will have to leave this station eventually. Your kind travels between stars. What happens to the juvenile then?" "Then Buddy comes with me," Danny said. "Wherever I go, Buddy goes. That is what choosing each other means. And when you die, humans live such short lives. The juvenile will outlive you by 150 years. Danny had not thought about that. The realization hit him hard. Buddy would be alone again one day, long after Danny was gone. But Terran continued. "Which means you must teach it how to trust others as well. Not just you, other humans, other species. You must show the juvenile that trust is not limited to one bond but can grow to many. Otherwise, when you are gone, it will be truly alone." "You are right," Danny admitted. "I did not think that far ahead." "Then perhaps you need help," Terran said. "Ravix do not form packs, but we do understand mentorship. I will stay on your station for one solar cycle. I will teach you about Ravix biology, needs, behavior, and I will teach the juvenile that its choice to trust you was not weakness but a new kind of strength." Danny looked up in surprise. "You would do that?" "The juvenile has created something new, a bridge between species. It would be wasteful to let that bridge collapse because of ignorance." Terran paused. "And perhaps there is something to learn from humans. This ability to extend trust to creatures that should be enemies. It is strange, but it is also powerful." Commander Ulith's voice came through the speakers. "Scout Leader Terran, we would be honored to host you on Terminus Station for as long as you wish to stay." "Accepted," Terran replied. Then he looked directly at Danny. "But understand this, human. If you betray the juvenile's trust, if you harm it or abandon it, I will know. And I will come for you. Ravix protect their own, even the strange ones." "Fair enough," Danny said. "I would expect nothing less." They returned to the station together. The shuttle ride back was full of excited chatter. Everyone wanted to talk to Danny, to ask questions, to understand how he did it. But Danny was not paying attention to them. He was thinking about what Terran said, about Buddy outliving him, about the responsibility he had just accepted. It was overwhelming when he really considered it. Buddy must have sensed his mood because the Ravix pressed closer against him in the shuttle, offering comfort the same way Danny had offered it in the cell. Role reversal. The scared creature now helping the worried human. "We will figure it out together," Danny whispered to Buddy. "One day at a time." When they landed, they found the docking bay filled with station personnel. Word had spread fast. Everyone wanted to see the human and the Ravix who had chosen each other. Grace Okafor pushed through the crowd to reach Danny. "I've been on the communication network with Earth. Your story is spreading fast. People want to know more. They want to understand how you did this." "I just treated Buddy with respect," Danny said tiredly. "That is all?" "No," Grace said. "You did something more. You showed an entire galaxy that humans have a gift. We can see fear and pain in others, even when those others are completely different from us. We can offer trust even when it is dangerous, and we can form bonds that should not be possible." She smiled. "You are going to be famous, Danny, right? The human who befriended a Ravix. I do not want to be famous. I just want to make sure Buddy is okay." "I know. Which is exactly why this matters so much. You did not do this for glory or politics. You did it because it was right. Because a creature was suffering and you could help. Grace put a hand on his shoulder. That is humanity at its best. And the galaxy needs to see that. Dr. Hilvan approached with a data pad. I have prepared quarters for you and Buddy. Custom built to accommodate Ravik's needs but with space for human habitation as well. You will be sharing a living space now. Thank you, Doctor. Also, Commander Ulith has approved a new position for you. Xenobiological Relations Specialist. Your job will be to help other species understand how humans interact with creatures they think are impossible to approach. Starting salary is triple what you made in cargo. Danny blinked. I am not qualified for that. You just convinced a Ravix to choose you over its own species. I would say you are very qualified. Dr. Hilvan smiled. Besides, we need someone who can think differently about interspecies relations. Someone who sees possibility instead of limitation. As they walked toward the new quarters, Danny felt the weight of everything settling on him. His life had just changed completely. No more simple cargo runs. No more quiet anonymity. He was responsible for Buddy now. Responsible for proving that this bond could work. Responsible for showing the galaxy that trust mattered more than biology. It was terrifying. It was overwhelming. But as Buddy walked beside him, occasionally bumping against his leg like a massive cat, Danny felt something else too. Purpose. For the first time since leaving Earth, he had a purpose that mattered. Not just moving boxes from place to place, but building something new, something important. Welcome home, Buddy, Danny said as they entered their new quarters. Let us see what we can build together. Week 1 was chaos. Buddy had strong opinions about everything. The sleeping area was wrong. The temperature was wrong. The food dispensers made noises that triggered defensive responses. Danny spent most of his time just trying to prevent property damage. This is normal, Terran assured him during one of their daily training sessions. Juveniles are particular about their space. In the wild, they would be claiming first territory. Every detail matters to them. Danny sat on the floor of the quarters watching Buddy destroy the third cushion that day. How long does this phase last? For solitary juveniles, about 6 months. For bonded ones? Terran tilted his head. Unknown. You are the first, great, Danny thought. He was pioneering new territory with no map. But slowly patterns emerged. Buddy liked the sleeping area when it was dark and slightly cool. Preferred food served in the morning and evening, not midday. Needed exercise, lots of it. Running circuits through the specialized habitat Dr. Hilvan had expanded for them. The bigger challenge was what Terran had warned about. Teaching Buddy to trust others. Dr. Hilvan tried first. He approached their quarters with medical equipment for a routine checkup. Buddy immediately positioned itself between the doctor and Danny, that warning rumble starting. Buddy, no, Danny said firmly. Dr. Hilvan is a friend. He helped save your life, remember? Buddy did not move. Its body language screamed threat. Try giving it something, Terran suggested from his observation position. He attended most of these sessions, documenting everything. Ravix respect beings who provide resources. Dr. Hilvan pulled out a food cube, specially formulated for Ravix nutrition. He held it out, not moving closer, just offering. Buddy watched him suspiciously, then looked at Danny, then back at the food. It is okay, Danny said softly. You can take it. Buddy moved forward slowly, grabbed the food cube, retreated back to Danny's side. But it ate the food, which was progress. Good, Terran said. Do this every day for a week. Always with food, always with Danny present. The juvenile will learn to associate the doctor with positive experiences. They did. Every morning, Dr. Hilvan would visit. Every morning, he would bring food. By day 4, Buddy stopped growling. By day 7, the Ravix allowed the doctor to perform the checkup without protest. Remarkable learning speed, Dr. Hilvan noted. Buddy understands cause and effect very well. Doctor brings food. Doctor is not threat. Therefore, doctor can approach. That is intelligence, Grace Okafor said. She had become a regular visitor too, documenting everything for human records. Buddy is not just reacting. It is thinking through situations and making decisions. The next test was harder. Station security wanted to ensure Buddy would not attack random personnel. Commander Ulith arranged a controlled scenario. 5 different aliens from 5 different species would approach Danny while he walked Buddy through a public corridor. If Buddy attacks anyone, We have to reconsider the living arrangement, the commander said bluntly. I cannot have a dangerous predator loose on my station. Buddy is not dangerous, Danny protested. Buddy is absolutely dangerous, Terran corrected. But controlled danger is different from random danger. This test will prove which one applies. They walked through Corridor 7, one of the wider public spaces. Buddy stayed close to Danny, alert and watchful. The first station worker approached, a Quarian engineer. Buddy tensed but did not growl. Good morning, Mr. Wright, the engineer said, as instructed to act normal. Morning, Danny replied, keeping his voice casual. They passed without incident. 1 down, 4 to go. A Threxian merchant came next, pushing a cargo cart. The cart made a sudden loud noise. Buddy jumped, teeth bared, moving between Danny and the perceived threat. Easy, Danny said immediately. Just a cart, Buddy. Just a machine. The merchant froze, terrified. Everyone watching held their breath. This was the critical moment. Buddy looked at the cart, looked at Danny, looked back at the cart, then slowly relaxed. The Ravix even leaned forward and sniffed the cart, investigating instead of attacking. Curiosity response, Terran murmured from his observation point. The juvenile is learning to investigate new stimuli rather than defaulting to aggression. Impressive. The test continued. A water worlder, a silicon-based life form, a small insectoid barely half Buddy's size. Each time Buddy evaluated the situation, each time it chose not to attack. By the end of the walk, Danny felt exhausted from tension, but also proud. Buddy had proven itself capable of existing in mixed-species spaces. Test passed, Commander Ulith announced. Buddy is cleared for supervised public access. Word spread quickly. The Ravix that could walk among other species. The predator that chose peace. Aliens started asking to meet Buddy, to see this phenomenon for themselves. Danny had to set boundaries fast. Buddy is not a show animal, he told people firmly. It is an intelligent being who deserves respect. If you want to meet Buddy, you follow the rules. No sudden movements, no loud noises, and you bring food as an offering. Grace helped establish protocols, written guidelines for interacting with Buddy, educational materials about Ravix biology and psychology, even a short training program for anyone who wanted regular contact. The most surprising visitor came on week 3, a small child, human, maybe 6 years old. Her name was Sophie, daughter of a station mechanic. She had heard about Buddy and wanted to meet the creature. Absolutely not, Danny said when the parents asked. Buddy is too dangerous for children. But children are good with animals, Sophie's mother said. And you worked with animals back on Earth. Surely you know children and creatures often bond easily. Danny hesitated. She was right. He had seen it before. Kids had a natural fearlessness that animals responded to. But this was different. This was a Ravix. Let me ask Terran, Danny said. The scout leader considered the question carefully. On Virgos, juveniles are kept far from young. The size difference alone is dangerous. But this is not Virgos. And Buddy is not a normal juvenile. Perhaps it is worth trying with extreme precautions. They set up the meeting in a controlled room. Buddy on one side, Sophie on the other, with Danny in between. The child wore protective gear, though Danny doubted it would help much if things went wrong. Sophie looked at Buddy with wide eyes. It is so big. Yes, Danny agreed. And very strong. So we have to be very gentle and very calm. Can you do that? I can. Danny brought Sophie closer slowly. Buddy watched with intense focus. The Ravix had never seen a human child before. Hold out your hand, Danny instructed. Palm down like this. Let Buddy smell you first. Sophie copied his gesture. Buddy leaned forward, sniffing carefully. Then it did something unexpected. The Ravix made a soft chittering sound, the same sound it made when it was curious about something new. It likes you, Danny said, surprised. Can I pet it? Very gently. On the head right here. Sophie reached up and touched Buddy's scaled head. The Ravix went very still. Then it lowered itself down to the child's level, making it easier for her to reach. Terran made a strangled sound. That is protective posturing. The juvenile is treating the small human as something to be careful with, as something that needs accommodation. Grace was recording everything. This is incredible. Buddy recognizes the child as vulnerable and is adjusting its behavior accordingly. The session lasted only 10 minutes, but it proved something important. Buddy could differentiate between adults and children, could moderate its strength, could be trusted around the most vulnerable members of other species. After that, requests came flooding in. Scientists wanted to study Buddy. Diplomats wanted to use Buddy as an example of interspecies cooperation. Media outlets wanted interviews. Everyone wanted a piece of the story. Danny felt overwhelmed. This was not what he signed up for. He just wanted to help an injured creature. Now he was at the center of galactic attention. You cannot do everything. Grace advised during one of their planning sessions, you need to set priorities. What matters most to you? Danny thought about it. Making sure Buddy has a good life. Proving that this bond is real and sustainable. And maybe helping other people understand that trust is possible, even with creatures that seem impossible. Then focus on those things. Say no to everything else. Danny started saying no. No to the media requests. No to most of the scientific studies. No to appearances at diplomatic functions. He said yes only to things that helped Buddy or helped advance understanding of interspecies bonds. One request he said yes to surprised everyone. A group of animal rescue workers from Earth wanted to visit, to learn Danny's techniques. They worked with aggressive animals, with traumatized creatures, with cases everyone else had given up on. If I can teach them what I learned from Buddy, maybe they can help more animals back home. Danny explained to Commander Uleth when requesting permission for the group to visit. You want to turn your personal experience into a teaching methodology, the commander observed. Yes, because this is not just about me and Buddy. It is about proving that patience and empathy work better than force and fear. That applies everywhere, with every species. The rescue workers arrived 2 weeks later. 5 humans, all experienced with difficult animals, all eager to learn. Danny walked them through everything. How he approached Buddy the first time. How he read body language. How he used his voice as a tool for comfort. How he established trust through consistency. They practiced with Buddy under strict supervision. The Ravix tolerated them because Danny was present, but also because these humans moved like Danny. Calm, patient, respectful. You are teaching them the empathy protocol, Dr. Hilvin observed. The methodology I tried to document, but it works better coming from you because you understand it instinctively. I just know what worked with animals on Earth, Danny said. Turns out those same principles work across species. On the last day of their visit, one of the rescue workers pulled Danny aside. You changed how we think about aggressive animals. We always knew patience mattered, but seeing it work with a creature as dangerous as a Ravix proves it works universally. When we get back to Earth, we are going to revolutionize animal rescue protocols. That is the idea, Danny said. Help as many creatures as possible. That is what Buddy would want too. As the weeks became months, life found a rhythm. Buddy grew stronger, more confident. The Ravix learned station routines, learned which areas were safe to explore, learned dozens of faces and names. It even started greeting regular visitors with that soft chittering sound. But the most important lesson was the one Terran had warned about. Teaching Buddy to trust others besides Danny. By the 3-month mark, the Ravix had formed bonds with Dr. Hilvin, with Grace, with Sophie and her family, with Terran himself. The juvenile is becoming social, Terran said one day, watching Buddy play with Sophie in the habitat. This should not be possible, but it is happening. Buddy is creating a new template for Ravix behavior. Does that bother you? Danny asked. That Buddy is different from other Ravix? At first, yes. I thought the juvenile was broken. But now? Terran paused. Now I think Buddy has evolved. Intelligence means adapting, and Buddy has adapted to find strength in bonds rather than solitude. Perhaps that is not wrong. Perhaps that is just different. Danny smiled. That was exactly what he hoped people would understand. Different was not bad. It was just new. And new possibilities could change everything. 6 months after that first day in the quarantine bay, everything had changed. Not just for Danny and Buddy, but for the entire station. For the galaxy itself. Other species started bringing their impossible cases to Terminus Station. A mining company found a creature from a toxic world trapped in their equipment. It was too aggressive to approach, too valuable to kill. They called Danny. He spent 3 days sitting near the creature, talking to it, showing it that not everything was a threat. On the 4th day, it allowed him to remove the equipment safely. The mining company paid him more credits than he had made in a year of cargo handling. But Danny did not do it for money. He did it because another creature needed help. A ship rescued a juvenile from a species everyone thought was extinct. The juvenile was traumatized, violent, starving. Standard rehabilitation failed. They called Danny. He brought Buddy with him this time. Let the two creatures see each other. Two juveniles from death worlds who had survived impossible odds. Something about seeing Buddy calm and healthy helped the rescued juvenile understand it was safe. Within a week, the creature was eating again. Within 2, it allowed medical treatment. "You are creating a new field," Grace told him during one of her regular check-ins. She was writing a book now, documenting everything. Empathy-based interspecies communication. Universities across human space want to create programs teaching your methods. "They are not my methods," Danny protested. "People have been doing this with animals for thousands of years on Earth. But you proved it works with intelligent alien species. That is the difference. You showed the galaxy that emotional intelligence matters as much as any technology." Dr. Hilvan approached them in the station's main concourse. Behind him walked 3 students, young aliens from different worlds, all studying xenobiology. "Mr. Wright, my students have questions about the case study from last week. The rescued juvenile. Do you have time?" Danny nodded. He always made time for genuine questions. The students asked about body language, about vocal tone, about how to distinguish fear from aggression. Danny answered each question carefully, drawing on his experience but also admitting when he did not know something. "The key," he told them, "is to remember that intelligence means having feelings. Every creature that can think can also feel fear, pain, loneliness. If you remember that, you can find ways to communicate even without sharing language." One student, a Threxian, asked, "But what if the creature is too dangerous? What if approaching it means certain death?" "Then you find another way," Danny said. "Remote communication. Visual signals. Scent markers. There is always a way if you are patient enough and creative enough. The worst thing you can do is give up before trying everything." Buddy appeared from around a corner, having finished a play session with Sophie in the habitat. The Ravix trotted up to Danny and pressed against his leg in greeting. The students watched in amazement. They had heard the stories, but seeing a Ravix behave this way still shocked people. "Can we meet Buddy properly?" the Threxian asked nervously. "Sure," Danny said, "but remember the protocols. Move slowly, offer your hand for inspection, and bring food next time as a greeting gift." The students approached carefully. Buddy examined each one, sniffing them, evaluating them. Then the Ravix made that soft chittering sound and allowed them to touch its scales. They were thrilled. Terran watched from a nearby bench. The scout leader had stayed on the station far longer than his original 1 solar cycle commitment. When Danny asked why, Terran simply said, "Because this is history, and I want to witness all of it." But lately, Terran looked troubled. Danny joined him on the bench after the students left. "Something wrong?" Danny asked. "News from Vergos," Terran said heavily. "Other juveniles have started displaying similar behaviors to Buddy, seeking out companionship, forming bonds. It is causing cultural upheaval. Is that bad?" "For traditionalists, yes. They believe Buddy has contaminated Ravix nature itself, that the juvenile's choice has somehow infected our species with weakness." Danny felt cold. "Are they threatening Buddy?" "No, but they are threatening the idea of Buddy. They want to prove that what happened here was an aberration, not evolution. They want all Ravix to remain solitary and isolated. But you said other juveniles are changing too. That means Buddy is not an aberration. It means your species is capable of more than you thought. I know that. You know that. But try telling that to leaders who have built their entire power structure on the idea of solitary strength." Terran sighed. "There will be debates, councils, possibly challenges to current territory holders. Change is never smooth. What will happen to the juveniles who want to form bonds? That depends on how the debates go. Best case, we acknowledge that Ravix have options now, that some can choose solitude and some can choose companionship. Worst case, those juveniles are exiled from Vergos for being different." "That is not fair," Danny said angrily. "No, but it is reality." Terran looked at Buddy, who was now greeting other station personnel as they passed. "The juvenile changed something fundamental about how we see ourselves. That kind of change always faces resistance." That night, Danny could not sleep. He sat in the living quarters watching Buddy rest in the sleeping area. The Ravix breathed slowly, peacefully, having no idea that its simple choice to trust had caused ripples across entire civilizations. Grace found him there in the morning. "You look terrible." Torran told me about Vergas. About the cultural problems. I heard. It is spreading beyond Ravix too. Other species are having similar debates. If dangerous predators can form cross-species bonds, what does that mean for how we interact? What does it mean for our assumptions about nature and behavior? I just wanted to help an injured creature, Danny said tiredly. I did not mean to start a revolution. But you did. And now you have to decide what to do about it. What can I do? I am just one person. You are the person who proved it was possible. That makes you a symbol, and symbols matter. Grace sat beside him. There is going to be a summit. 3 months from now. Representatives from 20 species, including Ravix. They want to discuss interspecies bonding protocols, cultural impacts, future policies. And they want you there. Me? I am not a diplomat. No. But you are living proof that this works. Buddy is living proof. Together you represent a new possibility. That is more powerful than any political argument. Danny looked at Buddy again. The Ravix had woken up and was watching them with intelligent eyes. What do you think, Buddy? Should we go talk to a bunch of politicians? Buddy made a sound that might have been agreement or might have been indigestion. Hard to tell sometimes. The next 3 months passed quickly. Danny prepared for the summit by working on real cases, by helping more creatures, by documenting what worked and what did not. Every success added weight to his eventual testimony. He also worked with Torran to understand Ravix culture better. If he was going to speak about Buddy's choice, he needed to understand what that choice meant to Buddy's people. In our history, Torran explained, solitude was survival. Vergas is a harsh world. Territory is limited. Resources are scarce. If Ravix formed packs, we would have destroyed ourselves fighting over what little existed. So we evolved to be alone, to need no one, to survive through individual strength. But you are not on Vergas anymore, Danny pointed out. Space is big. Resources are abundant if you know where to look. The reasons for solitude do not exist out here. That is what I will argue at the summit, that evolution prepared us for one environment, but intelligence allows us to adapt to new environments. Buddy proves that adaptation is possible. The summit was held on a neutral station, larger than Terminus, designed specifically for diplomatic events. Danny arrived with Buddy, Torran, Grace, and Dr. Hilvin. They were met by security, media, protesters. Yes, protesters. Some species opposed the idea of changing natural behaviors. They carried signs saying things like, respect nature and predators should not be pets. I am not Buddy's pet, Danny muttered. And Buddy is not my pet either. We are partners. They do not understand that yet, Grace said. But maybe they will after the summit. The main hall was massive, with seating for hundreds. Danny sat in the witness section, Buddy beside him. The Ravix drew stares from everyone present. Some fearful, some curious, most just confused about what to think. The summit began with formal speeches. Scientists presented data on bonding behaviors across species. Diplomats discussed policy implications. Philosophers debated the nature of choice and free will. Then it was Danny's turn to speak. He approached the central platform, heart pounding. Buddy followed without needing to be asked. The room went silent. I am not a scientist, Danny began. I am not a diplomat. I am just a guy who did not want to watch a creature die scared and alone. That is all I was thinking about 6 months ago when I entered that containment cell. Help this creature. Show it that someone cares. He paused, collecting his thoughts. But I learned something from Buddy. I learned that trust is not about biology or evolution or cultural programming. It is about choice. Every intelligent being has the ability to choose trust over fear, cooperation over isolation, hope over despair. Buddy chose to trust me when every instinct said to fight, and I chose to be worthy of that trust. Danny put his hand on Buddy's head. The familiar gesture, repeated thousands of times now. People keep asking if this is natural. If we are going against what Buddy is supposed to be. But I think that is the wrong question. Intelligence means we are not locked into what we are supposed to be. We can become something new, something better. Buddy is not less Ravix because of our bond. Buddy is more adaptable, more resilient, more capable of surviving in a galaxy full of different species. He looked around the room, meeting eyes from dozens of different species. Earth has a history of forming bonds with creatures that should have been enemies. We walked alongside wolves and turned them into companions. We partnered with horses that could have crushed us. We worked with birds of prey that could have torn us apart. Not through force, not through domination, but through mutual respect and trust. That is humanity's real gift to the galaxy. Not our technology, not our weapons, but our understanding that trust can bridge any gap, cross any boundary, connect any two beings willing to try. But he proved that works beyond Earth, beyond humans. It works universally because the need for connection is universal. Danny's voice grew stronger. So do not ask if this is natural. Ask if this is possible. And the answer, standing right here beside me, is yes, it is possible. And if it is possible with a Ravix and a human, it is possible anywhere, with anyone. All we have to do is be brave enough to extend trust, and patient enough to let others choose to trust us back. He stepped down from the platform. The room erupted. Some applauded. Some argued. But everyone was talking, thinking, reconsidering their assumptions. The debates lasted 3 days. Arguments flew back and forth. Data was presented and challenged. Philosophies clashed, but slowly consensus emerged. Interspecies bonding would be recognized as valid, not required, not forced, but acknowledged as a choice that intelligent beings could make. Protocols would be established not to limit bonding, but to ensure it happened safely and ethically. Educational programs would teach the empathy protocols Danny had pioneered. For Ravix specifically, the decision came down to a vote among territorial leaders. Terran represented the progressive faction. After hours of debate, the vote passed by a narrow margin. Ravix would be allowed to choose solitude or companionship. Both paths would be considered valid. It is not perfect, Terran told Danny after the vote. There will still be Ravix who oppose this, who see bonded juveniles as traitors to our nature. But it is a start. It is acknowledgement that we can be more than what we were. The summit ended with a formal declaration, the Interspecies Bonding Accord. 20 species signed it, committing to recognize and support cross-species bonds formed through mutual choice and respect. Danny and Buddy were invited to sign as witnesses. Danny held the signing stylus while Buddy pressed one claw to the pad beside him. Their marks were recorded permanently in galactic history. They returned to Terminus Station as heroes. But Danny did not feel like a hero. He just felt tired and glad it was over, except it was not over. It was just beginning. Requests came flooding in. Other stations wanted to establish empathy-based programs. Military organizations wanted to learn the protocols for working with alien allies. Even the traditionalists who opposed the summit wanted to understand how Danny did what he did, if only to prevent it from happening again. Danny could not handle it alone anymore. So he did something he never expected to do. He started teaching classes, formal training programs on interspecies communication, emotional intelligence, trust-building techniques. Dr. Hilvin helped develop the curriculum. Grace helped with documentation. Torn taught the portions about reading body language across different species. The first class had 12 students. The second had 40. By the 6th month, they had a waiting list of 300 beings from across the galaxy, all wanting to learn. You created something lasting, Grace said, watching Danny teach a session about recognizing fear responses. A methodology that will outlive you. No matter what happens to you and Buddy, this knowledge will continue. That thought comforted Danny, because Torn had been right. Humans did not live long compared to Ravix. Danny would have maybe 50 more years if he was lucky. Buddy would have 150 after that. But if Buddy knew how to trust others, if Buddy understood that the bond they shared could be replicated with other beings, then Buddy would not be alone when Danny was gone. That was what mattered most. 1 year after that first day in the quarantine bay, Danny stood in the expanded habitat watching Buddy play with 3 other juveniles from different species. A rescued predator from a toxic world, an intelligent creature from an ice planet, a juvenile from a species no one had cataloged yet, all of them learning from Buddy how to exist peacefully with others. Sophie ran through the habitat laughing as the creatures gently chased her. She was older now, 7, and considered herself Buddy's official little sister. The Ravix was protective of her in ways that amazed everyone who witnessed it. "You did good," Torrin said, standing beside Danny. "The juvenile is thriving. You are thriving. And the galaxy is better for it." "We did good," Danny corrected.
"None of this would have worked without you teaching me about Ravix nature."
Without Dr. Hilven's medical expertise, without Grace documenting everything, without Commander Ulith giving us space to try, It took all of us, true, but it started with you. With one human who saw a dying creature and decided that creature deserved better than fear and pain in its final moments. Everything else grew from that one choice. Danny watched Buddy for a long moment. The Ravix caught his gaze and made that familiar soft sound. Not the chittering of curiosity, not the rumble of warning, but the sound that meant home, safety, family. "Hey, Buddy," Danny called out. "Come here." Buddy trotted over immediately, leaving the other juveniles to play with Sophie. The Ravix pressed against Danny's side and Danny wrapped an arm around the massive neck. "We made it," Danny whispered. "You and me. We proved it was possible. That trust works. That bonds matter. That different does not mean impossible." Buddy made that sound again. Agreement, maybe. Or just contentment at being near the human who had shown it that fear could become trust. That pain could become healing. That loneliness could become connection. They stood together in the habitat, surrounded by the life they had built together. Not perfect, sometimes messy, often challenging, but real, true, lasting. And across the galaxy, other creatures were learning the same lesson. That trust was stronger than fear. That patience was more powerful than force. That choosing connection over isolation was not weakness, but the bravest choice any intelligent being could make. All because one human saw a dying Ravix and decided to kneel down and whisper, "Easy, Buddy. You are safe now." Those 5 words changed everything, and they would echo across the stars for generations to come.